Romans.
So Utrecht was founded by the Romans, and one of the reasons was the fact that in the Roman times this is where the river Rhine was flowing, actually about where we are standing right now. Because this is the place where you could cross, the Romans had to protect it, and basically the rest is history. That's how the city started its life. The water has always been deciding the fate of the city, and when the Rhine changed its course, things started to change in Utrecht as well. One of the effects of this changing course of the River Rhine are these beautiful basements you see all through the city. You won't find them anywhere else in the Netherlands. In the old days, people had the legend that the Roman circus was supposed to be here. Well, we know for sure there has never been a circus in Utrecht. It's been a Roman city, yes, but not big enough for a circus. But this stone supporting this specific Latin is still referring to the Roman circus that was supposed to be here. One of the questions I get very often is, why are the stairs so steep in the Netherlands? Well, there's a very short answer. Basically, it's tax evasion, everybody's favorite sport. Why? In the medieval times, people would have to pay tax according to how large their house was. And they would just look at the facade and they think, well, that wide facade, so big a house. So Dutch people started to build very narrow houses which were very deep in order to pay less tax. But a narrow house which is very deep always means steep stairs. So very typical for Utrecht is the fact that we have quite a few alleys. These alleys in the old days used to be the place where the poor people would live. Nowadays people would love to live here, of course. We have over 100 of these, and they are really very quiet, atmospheric corners right in the middle of town. You would forget you are in the middle of the fourth largest city of the Netherlands. And very soon we are going to see another typical thing for Utrecht. That's the courtyard of a former monastery. More than 20 monasteries have disappeared, but their layout, their courtyards are still here. And it's a lovely place to live, very quiet, very peaceful. And what I personally really like is the fact that all trees get the chance to grow old here. In the 90s, Utrecht was growing very rapidly, and they soon understood that the car was never going to solve this kind of problem. So they had to put everything on the bicycle. So everything has been geared for the bicycle, and this sign, for instance, doesn't tell you where you can park your car, it tells you where you can park your bicycle. We are standing behind the Utrecht Cathedral now, and what we notice is this iron strip in the ground. It indicates the exact location where the walls used to be of the first Roman fortress to be built here. And it was not just a fortress, it was also a boundary, the boundary of the Roman Empire, the limes. Either you were in and you were civilized because you belonged to the world of Rome, or you were out and you were a hopeless barbarian. The patron saint of Utrecht is Saint Martin, and maybe you know that Saint Martin, as a Roman centurion, cut his cloak in half and gave half to the beggar to dress him. Hence the coat of arms of Utrecht, half red, half white, the coat of Saint Martin. Every year, 11th of November, children still go door to door wearing lampoons, singing songs, getting candy of course, which is considered the start of the festive season in Utrecht. We are now inside the Cathedral of Utrecht. Now, of course, it's a Protestant church, meaning that there's not that many Christmas decorations, presents, as you would expect. Of course, there's a Christmas stall, which is very typical for Utrecht, because it was done by the same artist that made the famous little rabbit, Miffy Dick Bruna. The style is immediately recognizable for people in the Netherlands, because these drawings, we all grew up with it. Traditionally, Christmas is a festive day, and because it's a festive day, it can also be a very hard day for people, especially people who just lost a dear person. Now, in the Dutch cities now, you'll find these glass houses where people can write in the book, write names, commemorate, and they can also talk to people about the loss they suffered to make it easier for them to deal with that during the days of Christmas. Town, and one of the traditional things in the whole of the Netherlands, of course, is what we call the brown pub. It's the place where you go to after days of work to have a bit of a relax and a bit of a drink. And these pubs are all brought onto Christmas atmosphere by lights, which is really traditional for the Netherlands. So let's have a look inside at how this looks. We are now in one of the most special places in Utrecht, which is an old church which has converted into a bar. This church started its life as a hiding church, a church which was not supposed to look like a church from the outside. But the moment you would get in, you would find this. After a life as a concert hall, this became one of the most famous bars of Utrecht. And here you see a phenomenon you will see around Christmas. People huddling together, cuddling together. People from companies, people from families, all going to bars, chatting and drinking beer. And for me, this would be the typical Christmas atmosphere. This alley used to be the place where you could go all the way to the river with horse and cart. But after it became a bit run down, the city government decided to put a light project here to lighten it up a bit. And very soon the youngsters of Utrecht discovered it as a place where they could have a bit of privacy. And now the nickname is TikTok Alley. The light is constantly changing to show you how important the color of light is for your feeling.